Hello and welcome to another episode of Drishti IAS in new series. I am Pooja. Today we are going to discuss that there is no end in sight for the disruption in the Tigray region of Ethiopia. Now, this topic is being discussed. Why? Because recently the Director General of WHO, that is Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, who is of Tigrayan origin, is saying that world leaders turning a blind eye to the Tigrayan crisis is actually deep rooted in the racial discrimination. So this is all that we are going to discuss. Apart from that, the history of the Tigray region with respect to why is it, engulfed in war since time immemorial now. What is the current situation? This pertains to the humanitarian crises. Other than that, how has the war impacted India? Many of you must be thinking, Ethiopia is in Africa, so far away from India. India does not have any sort of, you can say, mutualistically benefiting relations with, between these two countries. India doesn't have anything to do with that, right? But you are wrong if you're thinking that. Ethiopia's importance for India. As we know, China has already built a military base in Djibouti, Horn of Africa. That is why we have to understand that India's soft power in Ethiopia can be of huge benefit for the future international relations and the current one. What is the way forward? Now that will discuss India's way forward. What can India do more? Not just playing the passive player here, but an active player. And then, of course, a question will be asked. So let's talk about this. Tigrayan crisis is worsening. Also, it has been exacerbated by the drought conditions that have enraged the entire Horn of Africa. Apart from that, Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, the Director General of WHO, saying that world leaders are not discussing enough about Tigray region is actually racial in nature. It's discriminatory in nature. And he also said that Ukraine war has been discussed about a lot. Although we are sleepwalking to a nuclear warfare, nobody is talking about Tigray, which is of much more severe nature. So, of course, that is correct. Now, let's talk about the Tigray region. Tigray region is in the northern area of Ethiopia, and the problem here has started in the early 1990s. But why it has worsened now, we will talk about that as well. Tigray region shares a border with, of course, Ethiopia, Eritrea, and Sudan. And you can see that it is a part of Ethiopia. And here, this country, Ethiopia, will be of immense importance to us when we talk about India's relations with Ethiopia. Okay, moving ahead, I did talk about Djibouti. Djibouti is a region where China has its military base, its first ever military base China got in the Horn of Africa to safeguard the channel of the Red Sea from the Indian Ocean so that its trade and geopolitically strategic advantages remain in place. Move ahead and you see the Horn of Africa is a region, and many of you must be thinking that there are 4 countries in the Horn of Africa, but let me tell you, no. If you visit the site of Horn of Africa initiative, you will find more than 4 countries. That means apart from Eritrea, Djibouti, Somalia, and Ethiopia, even Sudan and Kenya are a part of it. So it's a part of Eastern Africa, which is having its borders in the Indian Ocean. So that is why this region is important. Moving ahead, let's talk about the history of war. Now, history of war is actually deep-rooted in the political situation of Ethiopia. As we go towards the diversity of Ethiopia, remember that there are more than 90 ethnic groups and 80 languages. Diverse country. The more the diversity, the less the common grounds for a region to be harmoniously administered, of which Oromo and Amhara, they are forming the majority. These 2 ethnicities, they form the majority, and that is approximately 60% of the population of Ethiopia. Tigrayans, they are the 3rd largest and just 7% of the population they cover. Now, TPLF is, you can say, earlier TPLF was born in the mid-70s to fight for the rights of the Tigrayan people, because Tigrayan people were under a lot of stress before the particular regime came into being. So this particular, you can say, a group, minority benefiting group, they came into existence. They became the most powerful rebel group after that, when they toppled the Marxist military dictatorship of Mengistu Haile Mariam in 1991. Okay, then when TPLF started, ruling, you can say, when TPLF started its reign, it had a lot to do with economic growth. Ethiopia witnessed a lot of economic growth, and that is why they got a larger support from the people of Ethiopia. Okay, then what happened, that it emerged as a stable country. When economic vacuum is filled up, whenever we see ever, if there is a filling up of the vacuum of economy, when people are employed, volatility and violence come down. Same thing happened. But what happened? Apart from this, there were actually concerns with respect to humanitarian crises and corruption crises. Problems of corruption started to emerge during the reign of TPLF. Then in 2018, public protests started to happen against the TPLF-led coalition. So back when we talk about 2018, they were leading with the help of coalition in Ethiopia, and they also saw protests with respect to humanitarian crisis. Economically, they were doing very good, but humanitarian and corruption, because these two things were the premises of, you can say, protests against them. Abiy Ahmed, who belongs to the ethnicity of Oromia, he came into power. Oromo, not Oromia. Okay, so his origin is Oromo. Then he made a party in 2019, which was by the name of Prosperity Party, and many leaders of different coalition joined it, but TPLF did not join it because they were not happy with the moves of Abiy Ahmed, because he wanted to end the potentially divisive old arrangement. See, Ethiopia, before Abiy Ahmed came into existence as a leader over there, they used to be governed according the regions, different regions of Ethiopia, specifically Tigray region, used to be governed according to their own constitution, and the power was pretty decentralized. But Abiy Ahmed came into the picture and said, I do not want a divided Ethiopia, I want a united Ethiopia. So in order to ensure that he has a united and integrated Ethiopia, he ended the old arrangements. So this was seen as an attempt to consolidate power. It was seen by TPLF that Abiy Ahmed is trying to dictate Ethiopia. He's not respecting the decentralized nature of polity in Ethiopia. So here they were not happy with it, and still Abiy Ahmed was going on with his own constitution, with his own ideologies. Now the current situation has been worsened by the war that was started in 2020. See, in 2020, the government of Ethiopia said that we are not going to have any sort of elections because, of course, pandemic is there, and in order to safeguard the lives of people, we will not have our elections. But what happened? TPLF said, no, this is unconstitutional, we have to have our elections. Then they had a separate election for Tigray region, because they had a lot of influence in the Tigray region, of course. So they had so in September 2020. But then what happened? The central government said that this election is not right. It's not rightful because we are not supposed to have our election and you are not abiding by the rules of the central government. Then in November 2020, of course, we have to understand TPLF won in Tigray region. In November 2020, TPLF attacked and took over one federal military base in the Tigray region. Then what happened? Abiy Ahmed was saying that this is, of course, a call for war. We have to, retaliate against this particular move. Not only that, not from Ethiopia, but Abiy Ahmed took the help of Eritrea to ensure that Tigray region stays in control of Ethiopia. Then in January 2021, that is Abiy Ahmed, decided to remove the legal party status of TPLF. Not only that, but in May 2020, he said that TPLF is a terrorist group. Okay. In July 2021, Abiy returned to power with an overwhelming majority. And since then, we are seeing the war is still, Ethiopia is still embroiled in war. So basically, it is one of the you can say one of the regions which is more diverse in nature in Africa. African regions have a lot of ethnicities, but because the diversity cannot be merged or managed harmoniously, we are seeing this war. Okay, so what is the current situation? Let's talk from the perspective of humanitarian crises. According to a report by the United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, food security is expected to worsen in Tigray region in the coming months because the situation had significantly deteriorated in the region 2022, and world leaders not talking about it is another problem, because if you're not acknowledging a problem, how can you solve it? It is exacerbated by prolonged drought that we are seeing in the Horn of Africa. Apart from that, the entire world is seeing either war or climate crises like drought, floods, earthquakes and whatnot. The first time in July this year, a COVID-19 vaccination campaign was launched in the Tigray region. You can imagine the situation. We have already been vaccinated twice or thrice, but Tigray region got its first ever vaccination this year. The situation is grim. Apart from that, we can also know that because of the crises, the vaccines that have to be stored in a cold temperature, they have the infrastructure for that. That is also not working because electricity is not there because of the war. Apart from that, 6 million people in the region, they had been isolated from the world due to the ongoing crisis. We are talking about the crisis of Ethiopia. Moving ahead, what impact the war of Ethiopia has on India? It might interest you to know, not only through our economy, but to our professors, Indian professors also, we have a lot of sway in Ethiopia. See, some 2,000 Indians, they presently work as professors in the country. This is as of 2021, the last of 2021. Approximately 120 work across Tigray's 4 major universities, and inflation since 2018 already impacted the professors in terms of slashing of salaries. So Indian professors in Tigray, in Ethiopia region, they specifically are considered a very close-knit part of the community. This that they have said that they feel very close to the community, very respected in the community, because see, fluent English speaking teachers Ethiopia takes from India, because first of all, the teachers from other countries such as UK or America, they are not affordable for them. So that teachers go there. And secondly, because of the amount of salary that they get, apart from that, the level of respect that they get, it's very, that's a very, you can say, a tool for soft power for India. So teachers are influencers over there. So the first batch of Indian teachers went to Ethiopia from Kerala in the 1950s. India can use this as a soft power to influence the minds of the people over there, how India is a friend in need. Moving on, in need and indeed. So 604 active Indian companies, they work in Ethiopia right now. Investment is up to $5 billion. Apart from that, it also provides employment to about 75,000 Ethiopian nationals in various regions, in various sectors, not regions: agricultural and floriculture, engineering, plastic, manufacturing, cotton and textile, water management, consultancy, ICT, education, pharmaceuticals and healthcare. Despite the COVID-19 pandemic, the level of friendship is so that there were 35 new investments from Indian companies in 2021. So India has a huge role to play, not only from the help of economy, but by our professors, soft power as well. For India, how is Ethiopia important? Remember, evidence have shown that Indian merchants started trading with the erstwhile kingdom of Aksum about 2000 years ago using monsoon winds. So trade relations are pretty old. Apart from that, in 1950, Ethiopia was the first African country to open embassy in India. Several high-profile bilateral visits have also taken place, including the visit of the President of India in 2017. Ethiopia receives the maximum line of credit, that is grant. It's a kind of grant from among the African countries from India. That means giving loans at a nominal interest rate. Apart from that, role in countering terrorism and Islamist extremism in the region. In the sense, India has played a huge role in Ethiopia in countering terrorism and, or you can say, radical Islamist extremism in Ethiopia. So India, apart from having so many, you can say, positions or roles to play in Ethiopia, has still not emerged a mediator. We will discuss about that as well. India-Africa Forum Summit, in which India took part in, Ethiopia hosted its second edition in 2011. Ethiopia is a member of the International Solar Alliance, which is led by India, and it is one of the first signatories. Ethiopia has also supported India on many instances. Okay, if we talk about Ethiopia, Ethiopia has supported India on the Kashmir issue. Apart from that, in the United Nations Security Council expansion as well, Ethiopia has stood with us. Apart from that, Ethiopia can become a strategic linchpin in the Horn of Africa, which I've already told you about. So using these many things, India can play a larger role. India has not done so. Listen, first of all, we have to know, during the reign of TPLF also, India had great relations with TPLF, with Ethiopia. And now also with Abiy Ahmed, India has good relations. But India, besides having good relations from both sides of the aisle, cannot become a mediator over here. India has not done so because, first of all, we have to know India has led non-aligned movement. India does not want to get embroiled in the fight of anybody else until and unless they are actively asking them to do so, both the parties. Because India knows that bilateral issues can always be solved bilaterally, even when it comes to our own issues, such as Kashmir and LAC. So first that, during the last UNSC meeting on Ethiopia, India urged both the sides to exercise control. But India can do more by being more assertive and playing an active role, becoming a mediator, trying to assure Ethiopia that whatever amount of help India can do with respect to solving this crisis, India will do so. A word would be enough. India could join hands with other Western and African countries who have direct stake in the stability of Horn of Africa to play a larger role, not let any other countries such as China right now to come into the picture. Moving ahead, let us talk about our prelims based question. Which among the following countries is not a part of Horn of Africa? Somalia, Ethiopia, Djibouti, Mali. Answer this correctly. I will take your names in the upcoming segments. Okay. Thank you so much for watching. Stay connected.